Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel where we talk about interior design tips and inspiration. Today we are continuing our design style series and we're going to be talking all about French country interiors and design. If you are new to this series or to this channel, this is our 14th episode on this series. In these videos, we go over the background of each interior design style, some key elements to help you identify this style. Then we also discuss 3 different ways on how you can incorporate this style into your home if you're loving it. And if you're liking it but not quite sure that you want to fully dive in head first into this style, we also talk about some different design styles that are similar to this in case you're looking for something slightly different. So let's go ahead and get into the background of French country design. Not surprisingly, this style originates from France, and specifically in France, there is the Provence region where this design style really originated from and flourished. This design style is pretty feminine. It has a lot of rustic elements. There's a lot of inspiration from French countrysides that come into play with this design style, and that's where a lot of inspiration for this style comes from. There's a lot of traditional elements that are brought into this design style, but that's paired with a lot more of a soft color palette and a lot of feminine qualities coming into it. So although it's very similar to a lot of traditional design styles, this is a little bit different because there's more of a soft approach when it comes to the color palette of this design style. Now let's go ahead and jump into some key elements of this design style. When we talk about architectural details of this design style, you're gonna see probably some exposed beams, some rustic beams of some sort. There's a lot of wood in this style. There's not a ton of heavy staining. They really go towards the more natural side of woods. You'll see a lot of fireplaces that are more traditional as well. Fireplaces haven't really been something that I talk heavily about when it comes to architectural details, but I feel like it's somewhat weird to have a French country house and not have a fireplace, so I felt like that was an important note to bring up. Furniture is an aspect of this design style that is very focused and honed in on. So again, you'll see a lot of more traditional silhouettes and more feminine legs and curvature. You'll see the kind of signature Caribal leg style. You'll see a lot of upholstered seating. You'll see a lot of wooden furniture. Some of that will be left to be a very light stain, and some of it will be painted. A super common theme in furniture for French country is distressing and antiques. So you'll see a lot more of detail than you would see in a more modern or contemporary house. Because so much furniture is made out of wood, you really can get the more carved effect and a little bit more detail than some other materials. So you'll see that come into play, but definitely still have a feminine feeling to it. It's not going to be so extremely ornate, but it's going to have some detailing. Really, any furniture that has a lived-in feel, so it has some of that distressing or it looks like it's been well loved, is going to fit really easily into this design style. Cotton and linen are 2 materials that are used very often, but you'll see even more often is a material that originates in France called toile. Now to talk about color palette a little bit more, I mentioned there's a lot of neutrals. It's very soft and feminine color palette. When you're going with a neutral color palette, you're going to want to make sure to include warm tones into this design style. You want to incorporate those warm tones to get that cozy, inviting feeling. That's why we gear this style towards those warm tone neutrals. So you'll see a lot of cream, those colors that really bring in warmth and not just stark white. You'll also see some color being introduced into these homes, so you may see some more pastel-y type colors like those really soft yellows or pinks, sometimes blue or green. So if you do like to incorporate color, definitely stay more towards the pastel neutral tones. Don't go for anything that's too saturated. For window treatments, you will see more traditional window treatments, so a little bit heavier fabrics being used. They're a little bit more detailed and patterned, but you can also do something that's a little bit more modern and do something a little more whimsical. But for sure, you will usually see a lot of curtains in this design style. Moving on to accessories for French country design. The first thing that I want to mention is mirrors. So mirrors are really important in this design style because not only does it reflect a lot of light, not only give that really airy and bright feeling to a space, but you can also enhance the design style a lot by using a style of frame that's very ornate. It's gold, it has a lot of depth to it. If you can really nail down that frame to the mirror, then that's going to add a lot of style to this design. Some other common accessories that you will see in this design style are wall clocks, candlesticks, you'll see flowers, you'll see floral china. A lot of elegant things will be brought in to accessorize this space. Now to talk about 3 ways on how you can bring this design style into your home now. My very first suggestion is to focus on the furniture. So really nail down that distressed antique look. Bring in things that are painted white, that are distressed wood. That would be my very first suggestion on trying to get French country into your home. Second of all, lighten up your space. These spaces are not supposed to be dark or moody or anything like that. They're supposed to feel more organic. They're supposed to feel a little bit more light and bright. So really those 2 things of the color palette and the furniture style, if you have those 2 things, that is almost a for sure way to make sure that your house feels French country. But the last thing that I want to mention is if you're in doubt, make sure to think classic. Like I said, there's a lot of traditional elements that come into play in this design style. So if you're ever unsure if something is going to fit into this style, just think, is this classic? If the answer is yes, then you are good to go. If you're not so sure, maybe it's a little bit trendy, maybe it's a little bit modern. If it's something along those lines, then I would stray away from it because this is a very classic, rich style. Now to talk about 3 different interior design styles I would suggest you checking out in case you like this style but want a few other suggestions. My very first one is shabby chic interiors. We did a video on this style, I want to say 2 weeks ago now, so go ahead and check out that design style video if you'd like. Again, there's a lot of distressed furniture here. There's a lot of white tones, bright airy tones. There's a lot of feminine furniture. So if you like those aspects of this design style, definitely go check that one out. The second design style that I would suggest you checking out is farmhouse design. Again, there's a very similar color palette happening here. So there's a lot of whites, a lot of brights and neutrals. There's a same kind of inspiration from the countryside. And then the last design style I want to mention is traditional. I mentioned this throughout the video that there's a lot of traditional elements in this design style. So if you enjoy those design details and a little bit more ornate design, then I would definitely check out traditional design. This does have a little bit of a different color palette than this design style, a little bit less organic. So if that sounds of interest, then we've also made videos on actually all 3 of these design styles: shabby chic, farmhouse, and traditional design. So I'll link those all so you can check them out if you're interested. That is everything that I have for today's video. I hope you learned something new and enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching, and tune in next week to learn more about Mediterranean design style. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a good day. Bye.